Hello everyone. So this is Indian Contract Act video 6. Wait. Yes, Indian Contract Act video 6. In this video we will continue from the topic we had left in our previous classes. In the previous class what we had dealt with, just a quick recap of what we did. We did undue influence. I discussed with you what are the constituents of undue influence, what is the dominating party, how why such kind of protections are given. We had discussed consent, what is free consent. Free consent is one of the essentials. Without the free consent, what the contract become voidable. We discussed that, and then what we did, we also had our discussion about coercion as a topic. I hope you have all watched those videos. I first recommend you to watch all the 5 videos before you watch the 6th video. So without wasting time, let's continue from our lecture. With here, what are the factors we had told about? What makes a consent without a free consent is contract without a free consent. Another factor is fraud and misrepresentation. These both concepts of fraud and misrepresentation are very similar. What we need to do is, here I'll discuss what are the nuances, what are the subtle differences which you need to keep in mind. There are minor differences about these two, and in examination often any situation sometimes given to you, and there is very minor difference between what is whether it is a fraud or a misrepresentation. Even in real life cases, these scenarios you'll face every day, where you will find that the one party has tried to do fraud. Like in the common parlance, what we consider to be fraud, we never use a term like misrepresentation in the common parlance. Like as a common man, what we think, that if this person has basically deceived me, tricked me. Usually fraud as a layman we consider is to be like tricking someone. What we usually think about trick, that is A person and there is B person. A person is doing fraud. What is for us is a fraud, that this person has something concealed some fact, plus what that person did, concealment has been done, and also that person A had the intention is one of an important element which differentiate if that act becomes a crime or not. Why? Because intention is the why the law gives so much emphasis on the concept of intention, because in intention the mental element of the person is involved. The law never punishes the person who is innocent, it punishes the wrong intention. Intention is the malice intention, the bad intention of a person. This is like in a very layman way I've explained you, but what is in a law can be considered to be a fraud or a misrepresentation. Okay, let's take it up. Fraud. Firstly, let's take fraud and misrepresentation. I'll teach it in a difference format only. That's why I've written in this way. What is the difference? Fraud is intentional deceit to induce a party into a contract, includes false statement and active concealment. False statement and active concealment means this person who will, if for establishing for an act to be a fraud, there should be intention. The party who is claiming that this person has done fraud, that party has to prove that this act was with the active will. The person already knew. In the misrepresentation, the person who is stating some untrue statement, basically both in both there is a same thing, there is a false statement, and this is untrue statement. It uses the word untrue statement. In both the things it's same. There is something with fact, the fact, some wrong fact is given, but here this party who is stating this fact is innocent. He believes that this fact is true. Okay. And in this, what is there? In the fraud, there is intentional deceit. The person is trying to intentionally deceive the other party. Okay, you understood. This is the Bare Act reading. Fraud means any act, includes any of the following acts committed by a party to a contract or with his connivance and or by his agent with intent to deceive another party thereto his agent or to induce him to enter into a contract. So there is an inducement with the intent to deceive another party. Here, what A is doing, A has intent to deceive. That is an important element. Okay, so this is the important element. Suggestion as a fact of that which is not true by one who does not believe it to be true. Active concealment of a fact by one having knowledge or belief of the fact. A promise made without any intention of performing it. These are the ways in which fraud can be done. Fraud can be done by active concealment of a fact, even though that person is not stating. Um, See, there are different ways in which the fraud can. These are the ways which the law has prescribed us in which the fraud can be committed. First is about first is about active concealment. First is about suggesting as true something which is not true, knowing or believing without belief in its truth. So what is it? It is like something which that person already knew to be true. Okay, so let's take an example of this. Example of this is, suppose in the this situation only, tells to B, A tells to B that uh, they are basically agreeing on purchasing. So there is some discussions which are going them between them for purchase of land. Okay, just imagine the A tells to B that this land. Okay, this land is rich with with mineral resources. Like there are some reserves beneath the land. So he tells to B, on believing the statement that the minerals are beneath this land, the B agrees to purchase the land. Here what has happened, this statement which is given, because of this basically this false statement, this is a false statement is there, and A already know that this false statement, he already know that this fact which is he is claiming about the land does not exist, as it's stated, suggesting as true something which is not true. Something which you are suggesting which is not true, and it is in the knowledge of the person who is claiming also. Here A already know that this land is not rich in mineral resources, or A is saying that this land is fertile or something, and on the basis of that statement, on the basis of that false statement only, that person has agreed to buy it. Okay, so law protects. So what the law state that this kind of act which the A has done, this is a kind of fraudulent act. Okay, this is kind of fraudulent act, and as a result of this, if the B here in this case, if the B is able to prove in the court that this what has happened with him, this A has made this false statement, because of that he bought the land, then the contract will become the contract which they have agreed upon. The contract will become voidable. It will be at the option of the B. The B can set aside this contract. Set aside. Another way in which the fraudulent act can be done is active concealment of the facts. So active concealment of the fact is, just suppose, now let's take another example. In this case only, A, B. In this case, what happens? B tells to A that I am purchasing this particular land for agriculture purpose. For agriculture purpose. The A already know that this land A B is purchasing is for the agriculture purpose because B has already disclosed it. But A know that this land is barren land. But A does not disclose it to B. So there is active concealment of fact. There is active concealment of the fact which is a material to the contract. There is a one term which you should always keep it in mind is substance and material. There are substance, there are material facts or like substance of contract. Not every fact, whenever any kind of discussion, when any kind of agreement is made between the parties, not everything is the material to the contract. Some things are always considered to be a material fact. Material means there is substance of the whole contract. The very purpose of the contract, why this whole contractual arrangement was made between the parties. Because as I've already told you, like whatever law you will be studying, always keep it in mind that what is the purpose of the law basically is protecting the parties, the interest of all the parties. Okay, so that's why if such kind of arrangement is made where one party is like wrongfully getting enriched and another party is basically suffering just because of that contract, helps law has made this mechanism to protect all the parties. Here if you see, the basic substance of whole the contract was to do the agriculture purpose, and this land in itself barren, and A has actively disclosed about the barrenness of the land. So what do you think should be held? Isn't it a fraudulent thing? It's a kind of fraud which has happened. Okay, so this also, what will be if the A, if this also, one thing also you need to keep it in mind, always make sure it's always based upon proof. B has to provide the proof in the court of law that this land which this there was active concealment of the fact. The burden of the proof will be on the purpose who wants to make the contract void. Here B is claiming that his consent was not free. Consent was not free. B is stating this, okay, because he is going to court of law and stating that his consent was taken by fraud. So it's from the B, and if he is able to prove that, then this contract will be a voidable contract. It will be at the option of B whether B accept it. If he continues with the purchase of the land, the contract will ultimately become valid contract. In case he want to set aside it, then he can set aside it. The contract will become void. Let's take another, making a promise without intention to perform. Another one is making a promise without intention to perform. Let's take the same example only to, I'll explain you through the same example. Okay, this we did. Okay, and now let's see A and B. ठीक है, there is a land which belongs to A. ठीक है, this land belongs to A. B C land belongs to A, and B wants to purchase this land, and A has already sold this same ABC land to, say, C. He has already sold it to C. Okay, this land he has the same land. These are the same lands. Okay, same land, and he has already sold it to B, and A is taking money from B for sale of this land. So what is happening? So he's already sold it, and now this contractual arrangement, sale is a kind of contract. This contractual arrangement is made without any intention of performing it. Why? Because this land is already, he has already sold the land to see that is this contractual arrangement has any purpose, because he's basically, why he's entering into arrangement just to get the money, and he can't perform it. He already know that he can't perform it. So basically what it means, this means that the A has done fraud. He has actively disclosed the fact that he has already sold the land. This is fraud. The contractual arrangement will be avoidable. Even though consent has been taken, all the requisites are fulfilled, but it's a voidable contract. B can set aside it. Easy. Now, any deceptive act intended to mislead. Some kind of deceptive acts can be done. One second. Certain kind of deceptive acts can also be done, which are intended to mislead some person. What sort of act? Just take the same example. You can make your as many example. You can take book, from book also. You will read a lot of cases where different kind of factors are fulfilled. So you can have any sort of example where, like, if just suppose in this case only, as I we had taken in the previous case, A and B. See, now what happening? The thing is, what is happening? Any act declare, any deceptive act intended to mislead, any deceptive act in the sense that certain sort of a deceptive act, if A tells to B that the crops which were grown, just suppose the A tells to B that the crops which were grown on this land, ठीक है, they got sold for like 50 lakh rupees. Okay, this shows that B is basically what the B is. It is creating an image in the mind of B that this, if this land is able to like generate so much revenue because of the crops, this means this land is fertile. Okay, so but in the actual way, this land is a barren land. So he has done certain act of telling him this thing. As a result of this, B has bought the land. Such kind of statement, or like you can have any as many examples. There are a lot of deceptive acts, any sort of deceptive act which has led the other person to believe on the false statement, and as a result this contract has been entered. Or any kind of act which is declared fraudulent by the law. There are certain acts which are declared fraudulent by the court, by law. For that also, if that person is giving any statement or any doing any act which is fraudulent by the law, then also the contract will become avoidable contract. So essentials of fraud are false suggestion or assertion. There should be certain false statement or untrue. This should be false statement. It is essential for proving the fraud. You need to fulfill all the essential, like essential ingredients. As I told you that you need, for every kind of thing, for fulfilling any definition, you need to prove all the things. First one is false statement or assertion, knowledge or belief of falsehood. The party who is making that false statement should know that this statement is false. It is another essential, as I already discussed. Then it's intent to deceive. There should be some deliberate intention to mislead or cheat the other party. Act of concealment, hiding vital facts that would influence the decision of the other party. There should be act of concealment also. Act of concealment can also be categorized as a fraudulent, because there's like the person is hiding some vital facts that has what it has caused. It has caused it has influenced the decision of the other party. Also, there are promise without intention to perform. As I already discussed, certain promises are made, and these promises are without any real intention to fulfill them. What is the legal effect of fraud? The legal effect of fraud is the contract will become voidable, and as I told, at the option of the party who is defrauded, section 19. So innocent party can either resign the contract or affirm it. We have already discussed resignment can also be done or affirmation can be done. Also, you need to know this thing. We'll discuss this part when I'll discuss the when I'll complete with the misrepresentation. So hereby we're done with the basics of what is a fraudulent statement. Let's come to the misrepresentation. In the misrepresentation, the same thing happens. What you just need to understand is, in the misrepresentation, the person who is making those statements, that person believes on the statement. There is an innocency involved. Innocent, the person is innocent, even if that untrue statement, the person who is making that untrue statement believes in the truthfulness of that untrue statement. Misrepresentation means positive assertion in a manner not warranted by the information of the person making it, or of that which is not true, though he believes it to be true. That person believes it to be true, but in actuality that statement is not true. Okay, let's, yes. Another one is any breach of duty which, without any intent to deceive, gains an advantage to the person committing it, or anyone claiming under him by misleading another to his prejudice or to prejudice of anyone claiming under him. Another is causing, in however innocently, a party to an agreement to make a mistake as to substance of the thing, which is the subject matter of the thing. That party is basically innocently making the person believe, even though that person is under a misrepresentation. I'll tell you. Let's take it first. We'll take the examples also. So, what is happening in a misrepresentation? Misrepresentation means it they can like A and B. Okay, A is making a statement. Let's suppose A and B are agreeing into the contract. Uh, let's say for sale of a horse. One sec.